Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Seki. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about ADHD, otherwise known as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now, before I continue this video, I want you to know that this video is only for educational purposes. It's not to diagnose anyone with ADHD. It's not to tell you that you got ADHD. It's just to give you some information around it. And if you think you have it, or if you think that you know somebody that has it, make sure you speak to a healthcare professional about it first before you make a conclusion about it. This video again is just for educational purposes. Now, what causes ADHD? So it's caused by differences in the brain's ability to pay attention, slow down, and be patient. Now, if you have a child with ADHD, it's important to know that there's nothing wrong with him. Most kids actually struggle to keep still or are naturally hyperactive. So just because you've got an overly active child or person in your life, it doesn't mean necessarily that they've got ADHD. This is so important because a lot of people misdiagnose or they use this term just to kind of put people in brackets that they don't belong in. Not everyone that's overactive or struggles to keep still has ADHD. Sometimes some people are just overly active, and that is absolutely okay as well. The difference with people with ADHD is that this happens all the time. It's not just sometimes. And especially children, when they're acting like this, being overly active and can't keep still and can't pay attention, they're not doing it on purpose. It's just that their brain works differently to everybody else's and causing them to be overly active. And this is nothing. And I think this is one of the things that I want to just quickly talk about in this video. Nothing is wrong with that person. This is so important to know. Kids are sensitive, and if you tell somebody there's something wrong with them because of how they're being, sometimes they carry that into adulthood. It's important to let them know. You just see the world different. Some of the reasons why I'm making this video is to take away the stigma that's sometimes attached to people with ADHD. So what are some of the signs that somebody might have ADHD? They will have trouble paying attention, needs lots of reminders to do things, gets distracted very easily, seems absent-minded, disorganized and loses things all the time, can't keep still, can't wait their turn, and they can't be patient, rush through the work such as homework or other tasks just to get to the end of it. They're restless. To be honest with you, some of this is how I am as a person. I'm not saying I've got ADHD, but a lot of this is what most people are like. And I think as I'm making my way through this list, I want you to know that this is not an exhaustive list. And if you know somebody with some of the things on this list, it doesn't mean they've got ADHD. It's so important to get a diagnosis before you make a conclusion. To continue with that list, they interrupt a lot or talk out loud a lot, and they can't keep still in class, do things they shouldn't even though they know better. Again, this is so important because sometimes they can't help it. This is just how they are as people, and it's so important to just embrace that energy. Because for me, I love it when I see somebody with that much energy and enthusiasm, and I just think that person just needs that energy to be focused on something, and they will just go frustrated and bored. So these are some of the things. This list is not exhaustive, but these are some of the things that somebody with ADHD might have. So how is ADHD diagnosed? So doctors don't do like a blood test, or they don't do there's no specific test for them to know that this person has ADHD. There's actually no particular way of doing it. They just speak to the person, or they just notice the signs and symptoms of that person, and then they decide that, okay, this person may have. So there's no actual blood test, there's no lab results that you're gonna wait on. Sometimes it's based on a doctor's opinion or what they think that person has. And it's not always a doctor, it's a healthcare professional. I should probably just say that. It's any healthcare professional qualified to diagnose it. And sometimes, if you have a child especially, and you don't think it's ADHD, you can always get a second opinion. One person's diagnosis might differ from another person's, because it's hard to kind of exactly trim down if a person definitely has ADHD or whether they're just overly active and overly energetic. So how is ADHD treated? It's treated usually most of the time with medication. So in pharmacy, I'm a pharmacist, I see all the time, if somebody has the ADHD, there's specific medication that doctors give for that person. Again, I won't go through what medication those are because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. But if you know somebody that's been diagnosed with it, doctors usually have a list of medication they can prescribe for that person to help them to manage their ADHD. The second treatment that's available is talking therapies. So these are usually with counselors or anyone that's qualified to do it. And what they do usually is to help that person manage their ADHD. So if somebody's overly active, they'll tell them how to manage that. You know, if their brain is too fast or too slow or they can't keep still, these people just help that person to kind of make sense of what's going on in their head and how to apply that into the real world to make sure that they can manage their ADHD by themselves. So it's not always medication first. Sometimes some people get a talking therapy. So if you're a school teacher and you're watching this video and you're thinking, how do I help a child with ADHD? Because when I was in school, there was a lot of kids that had so much energy. What the teachers used to do was to just send that student outside or tell them off, or there was no patience around it. So if you're a teacher and you're watching this video, my advice would be help the child organize their things. The key from a teacher, from an adult, from a parent is to empower that child. Give them the tools so that they can manage on their own. Give them quick breaks to get up and move around. Kids with ADHD struggle to sit down for very long. Usually classes in school last for 45 minutes to 1 hour. That's a very long time for somebody with ADHD to sit down. So giving them a little break where they can get up and move around, you might find it makes a massive difference to how they approach the classroom environment. Now, if you're a child or if you're somebody with ADHD, you might wonder, how do I manage this myself? What can I do? And this is what you have to do. Number one thing is eat healthy, get plenty of sleep, and be active every day. Now, because people with ADHD sometimes struggle to sit still, that energy has to go somewhere. And for me, the best place to put that energy is through exercise. Just go for a run, go for a walk, go to the gym, and you'll find that some of that energy is burnt away, and then you won't feel the need to be overly active all the time. And the last thing that you can do is practice mindful breathing or meditation exercises. Now this is difficult. I've tried meditating before a couple of times and it is hard to keep with it. I'm not doing it now at the moment, but I want to get back into it. But what I'll say about meditation and mindful breathing exercises is that they calm you. You become a different person. When I was doing it for a few weeks or a few months, I was completely calm all the time. Nothing stressed me out. I just got a bit bored with it. But if you have ADHD, you might find that these are some of the tools that you can use to help you manage it yourself. I hope this video was useful about ADHD. If you have any questions about any part of this video, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you to explain anything that maybe I've missed out on. Give me your opinion on this video. Was it useful? And if it is, let me know, because I would like to make more videos like this to destigmatize some of the symptoms, some of the things in society that people kind of put a stigma on. That is all for this week's video. I'll be back next week for another video. Before you leave, if you want to support my page, subscribe. If not, that's okay. I'll see you next week for another video.